All right, today we're going to deconstruct one of the biggest economic stories of our lifetime, what everyone calls the China miracle. I mean, how did an entire nation completely transform itself at a speed and scale that it's just left the rest of the world scratching their heads? Let's break it down. Get a load of this. Just let it sink in for a second. More cement in 3 years than the United States used in an entire century. This one quote from Bill Gates back in 2014, it just perfectly captures the mind-boggling scale of what happened in China. We're not just talking about growth here. This was a complete physical re-engineering of a country. And if you want to see that transformation, look no further than this. On the left, you've got Shanghai's waterfront in 1990. And on the right, the exact same spot just 20 years later. It went from, a pretty quiet waterfront to a sprawling futuristic city that looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. So the question is, how on earth did they do this so fast?
Now, you've probably heard all the usual explanations, right? It's their massive population, or it's the endless supply of cheap labor, or maybe it's just that they finally opened up their economy to the world. But here's the thing. Those answers, while they're a part of the story, they just don't tell the whole story. I mean, India has a massive population, tons of countries have cheap labor, and plenty of nations open their economies, but none of them had this kind of explosive world-changing growth.
So that brings us right to the main event. What was the real secret? What was this special sauce? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was this powerful combination of 3 strategic pillars, all executed with a kind of focus you just don't see anywhere else. Let's start with the first and maybe most obvious pillar: massive, sustained investment. You can think of this as China building the physical hardware of a modern nation, basically from scratch. And when I say massive, I mean it. Look at this number. Since 1980, China has consistently pumped over 30% of its entire economic output right back into the country. To put that in perspective, most developed countries like the US invest closer to 20%. This wasn't some short-term plan. It was a decades-long strategy of just pouring capital into the system on a scale the world had never really seen before. And where did all that money go? Well, it went into building the world's largest high-speed rail network, brand new airports and ports that are hyper-efficient, and highways connecting every single corner of the country. And this wasn't just for show. This new infrastructure made it way faster and cheaper to move people and goods, which basically supercharged their ability to trade both at home and abroad. But that raises a huge question, right? Where did all this cash come from? The answer is this really clever 2-part strategy. First, attracting foreign direct investment, that's money from big companies around the world, and second, using its own giant state-owned enterprises. Now, China's strategy for getting foreign money was nothing short of genius. They set up these things called special economic zones, cities like Shenzhen, that were basically playgrounds for global capitalism. They offered huge tax breaks, they cut the red tape, and that brought in a flood of foreign cash. But, and this is the important part, it also brought in foreign technology from companies that were desperate to get a piece of the action. Okay, so you've got this world-class hardware, but even the best hardware is pretty useless without some sophisticated software to run it, right? And that brings us to the second pillar, a deep, serious investment in people, what we can call the nation's software. A really key part of this, and something that a lot of people overlook, was unlocking the potential of their entire population. Now, while female participation in the workforce has gone down in both countries, look at the difference. China is still at around 62%, while India is at 25%. This isn't just a social talking point, it is a massive economic advantage. By getting millions more women into the workforce, China just dramatically expanded its talent pool, which helped drive innovation and productivity through the roof. And you can see this even more clearly if you look at the World Bank's Human Capital Index. Basically, it measures how productive a child born today will be when they grow up, based on the health and education they'll receive. China's score is way higher than India's, putting it in a completely different league. The takeaway is simple. China made a plan to build a healthier, better educated, and, because of that, a much more productive workforce. And that investment, it is paying off big time now. Today, China has 7 universities in the world's top 100. They're making huge advances in fields like AI, and they're really shifting from just catching up to actually setting the pace for the rest of the world. So, you've built the hardware, you've powered up the software. What's next? Well, you've got to get the latest software update. And that's the third pillar, strategically grabbing and adapting foreign technology to basically leapfrog decades of development. The main tool they used for this was something called the joint venture. The deal was pretty simple. If you're a big global company and you want access to China's massive market, you have to partner up with a local Chinese firm. And the price of admission? You had to share your technology and your know-how.
And you can see this strategy everywhere you look. That incredible high-speed rail network, it was built by partnering with and learning from the best in the business, Japan's Shinkansen and Germany's Siemens. In the auto industry, Volkswagen's partnership with a local company helped create a car industry that now competes with anyone in the world. It was a masterclass in learning by doing, turning market access into a tool for incredible industrial growth.
So, we have the three pillars: massive investment, investing in people, and grabbing technology. But what was the secret sauce? What was the thing that tied it all together and made it so unbelievably powerful?
So, just to recap, we've seen the hardware, the infrastructure, we've seen the software, the educated people, and we've seen the software update, the acquired technology. Each one of these is powerful on its own, but together, that's where the miracle happened.
Because the ultimate secret sauce, it wasn't just the ingredients, it was the chef. It was the unmatched, unique ability of the Chinese government to pull all three of these levers: investment, people, and technology, all at the same time and on a national scale. Lots of countries had some of these pieces, but only China could execute all of them with such relentless speed and focus. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. China's story has created this powerful, maybe even controversial playbook for how a nation can develop. But as China itself starts to face new challenges, you have to wonder, which parts of this playbook can other countries copy? And what will the next global miracle